I'd like to call to order the Lowell Area Schools Board of Education meeting for May 12th at 7 p.m. If I could ask you all to please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Addition, changes to the agenda.
I think we have a couple tonight.
Addition, I move that we add a resolution of support to the action items tonight.
Could I get support for that?
I'll support that.
Support by Jessica. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the addition, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Addition has been added.
And then I think we have a change.
We do. We're gonna handle that once we get,
Later.
later, once we get to the item.
Perfect. Public comments on agenda items.
Not tonight.
None, thank you. First order of business is our last student council report. This one's gonna, we can filibuster.
Go as long as I can. Huh? Well, good evening, everyone. The year is now truly coming to a close. AP classes have worked hard all year for the difficult tests that students have been taking over these last couple weeks. I'm happy to say I got to end off my AP schedule this morning with good old Calc BC. And I wish the students who still need to test the best of luck. We all know how the College Board can be. Now, the seniors and I are getting ready to head out. Senior release is this Thursday, and then it's off to graduation, which makes this, as we've said, my final board report here for you all. And I can guarantee next year's class president is not a Cazares. That'll be the end of us. And elections are actually currently going on to decide which of the juniors will get to fill these shoes and be with you guys next year. I want to thank you all for listening to my reports over this past year, and want to thank the board especially. You all do so much to ensure every student feels safe and at home in this district. I'll be honest, I didn't know much about the board until I started paying attention to what I would eventually have to do as class president. But being here every month, I get a glance at the work you all do, the time you put in, and the dedication all of you have to students like me. I couldn't thank you all enough for everything you've done to help each student succeed. Lowell is truly a special place. Nowhere else could I have received the care and dedication that you, my teachers, and all the supporting faculty have put into making me and my peers the best students and people that we can be. I'm excited to go on to this next stage of my life, knowing that I am the person Lowell has shaped me to be. I am so thankful to be a Red Arrow for life. This has been your student report for May 12th, 2025. Your student representative, Connor Cazares.
next order of business is our reports, and our first report is recognition of our retirees.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go up to the podium for this one. And so, yeah, each year I have the honor of, recognizing the retirees for their years of service and the impact that they've had on the lives of not only their students, but also their colleagues. I can say from personal experience with this group, I have either worked in a building with each one of these retirees, or they've been one of my own kids' teachers. And so just a distinguished group of educators who have been great friends, been great mentors, been great leaders to their colleagues, and have also been had a huge impact on the lives of their students. And so with that, on behalf of the Board of Education, our administrative team, our building administrators as well, I'd like to recognize the following retirees for their years of service. We have Heather DeYoung from the high school, Diane Hakela, middle school resource room teacher, Bert Breaker was here, middle school science teacher, Rebecca Smigan, high school science teacher, Jennifer Cole, a middle school English teacher, Rochelle Cummings. Rochelle, if you could stand up, please. We'll embarrass you a little bit too. Our Bushnell Elementary first grade teacher, and then Dan Vandermeulen, our director of curriculum. And so if you could join me in a round of applause. And there was a time when we used to give plaques as recognition for years of service, and got some feedback that they often just ended up in drawers and closets and things like that. So just as a token and an award, there is an order, a gift of an award of service for as an appreciation on behalf of the district for each of our retirees as well. If they could stick around too, because I also want to just recognize Connor and thank him for his years of service. I do have a plaque for you, Connor. But just want to formally recognize Connor Cazaraz for his service as the Board of Education student representative this year. Just appreciate the monthly updates. We talk, a lot about in this room about our student achievement goal of belonging, our district achievement goal of belonging. And Connor, every time I walk into the high school, when I see you go out of your way to say hello, you greet me there, and I think you model that. I feel that in all of our buildings, but I feel that at the high school. So I just appreciate the person that you are, the athlete that you are, the student you are, the actor that you are, all of those things that you've done to make our school community a stronger place. And so on the plaque, it says, Lowell Area Schools, Connor Cazaraz, in recognition of your service as a student representative on the Lowell Area Schools Board of Education, thank you for your outstanding dedication and commitment to representing your peers and for serving as a positive role model for all students. So Connor, come on up and get your plaque.
Thank you.
Yes, I know.
Don't worry, we'll end up in a drawer.
Our next report is our Alto Elementary report.
As we're queuing that up, my name is Paul Papis, those of you that don't know me, principal at Alto Elementary. Pleasure to be with you tonight. We're going to share a program that we just think very highly of. We've done it for 7 years. It's the Kids Hope USA Mentor Program. And we work with a local church as a partner with that program, and it also represents our other elementary buildings and our middle school as far as the partnerships they have with some different partner churches as well. A couple things with that, why we would present on that. I mean, we just see the impact that it has on our kids. I mean, that's number one. It's something they look forward to. It's something that makes a difference. We talk about belonging. It's something that helps them to feel that sense of belonging at school. I think any relationship that they have in the school setting impacts that. So that's a huge thing. And then it's just so well received and supported by our students, by our staff, our teachers. They love the program, very supportive of it, and then also our parents as well. So, just what is Kids Hope? Kids Hope USA is a mentorship program that pairs, it's one student or one individual volunteer mentor from a local church with a mentee child at a local elementary church. And we think that's important because they're there for them and to meet with them only. Kids Hope is based on one local church, one local school, one mentor, one mentee. They meet 1 hour every week, and it's a 1-year commitment. More than that is even better, and you'll hear some examples of that today. In a Kids Hope USA Mentor Program, students meet once a week for an hour. Someone who is just there for them, like I said, this one-to-one attention from another caring and consistent adult in a student's life makes a difference. And I say another caring adult because our students have a lot of caring adults, and the more they can have, the better. Our teachers are making that connection, their parents are making that connection, there may be other people in their personal life, but this is a special connection that's also being made. And it's in a little bit different way. It's as far as their time just to connect, and they're not asking as much from them as a teacher or parent might. One of our district improvement goals, again, is belonging, and we know that supported relationships in the school environment help students feel like they belong. We have a few things here. We've been doing the program at Alto for we're going to wrap up 7 years this year, which is pretty great. We've been working with Data Bible all 7 of those years. We are currently at 18 mentors in the building. We've expanded a little bit every year. COVID slowed some of that up for a little bit because we couldn't have the contact and so forth. But through that was another testament to the program because we went from being just pen pals when we were completely virtual school. Then we went to virtual meetings. Kids would come down to the media center. Our media specialist would oversee it, and they would meet with a mentor. And we had a lot of relationships, Cheryl will speak tonight, that started with a kindergartner, got through all of those challenges, and now is a 5th grader. So just great stories there. We also have 7 mentors that have transitioned with students to LMS. And we have another guest here tonight, Clint, that can speak a little bit about that, the importance of supporting students as they go from elementary to middle school, which I think is a huge transition for a lot of kids. So that's where we're at, again, with Data Bible. Bushnell and Cherry Creek, they work with Impact Church as a community partner. Murray Lake Elementary works with Lowell United Methodist. Lowell Middle School works with all of them because they come into the middle school. And it's my understanding that the high school is starting to have some discussion about possibly transitioning to the high school. And that's come from mentors and mentees that desire that want to keep that connection, which is just a testament to the investment that they have in those students. So in Lowell area schools right now, we have 45 elementary students. We have 16 middle school students that are currently in the program. I'm going to introduce Phil Doherty. Phil is the program director for the Data Bible Kids Hope USA program, and we work really well together with our program at Alto.
So yeah, I'm Phil Doherty, program director for Data Bible Church partnership with Alto Elementary. So I've got the maybe less exciting part, a little bit of the history and the background behind the program and how it has all come about. So Kids Hope USA is a national nonprofit, faith-based organization that facilitates mentoring through church and school partnerships. So it was started in 1995 by Dr. Virgil Gulker, right in Zeeland, Michigan, right locally. It's still headquartered in Zeeland. So Dr. Gulker started this all out, so he had a desire to serve children. So with that desire, he formulated a research question. And his research question that he worked with was, how can churches have the greatest impact on America's children? So he took that question to all sorts of professionals that work with kids. And he got overwhelming response that was all centered around the same thing, It was all centered around the impact of relationships on kids' lives and what a difference it can make in kids' lives. So today, 30 years later, there are more than 1,000 Kids Hope programs across the country, and it continues to grow. I've heard just in the past couple of months of a couple different West Michigan school districts that have asked their local church partners or churches to become partners with them to start their own Kids Hope programs. So it's absolutely growing, and things are going well for it. So what does it look like to get mentors? Well, we've got 18 at Alto, 7 at the middle school. So for Ada Bible anyway, annually, the church presents the program to their congregation from the pulpit, from the stage, and asks for volunteers. They explain the program, see who would be interested in participating. We've been able to keep up with what Mr. Papis has asked us to provide for mentors. So every year we get a few more. So interested people fill out an application, and they list references on their application. So I call on those references, we follow up, check their references. We also do a criminal history background check to make sure everything's good there. And then the applicants are interviewed. So I do the interviews, takes about an hour, and we talk about a whole variety of things that they may be involved with mentoring, many of the different aspects of it. One of the big things that we hit is consistency. It's a huge part of the program, is consistently to show up for the kids. So if a mentor says, you know, hey, we go to Florida every winter for 2 months, they're not a good candidate for the program. So we really push hard to get mentors to show up every week. Another big point that we hit is the separation of church and states and respecting that relationship and how that works within that environment. So after the interview process, the mentors are trained. So again, it's about an hour, it's an online training, and a big part of that is the same thing. The training really pushes the importance of that consistency, showing up every week. Again, the separation of church and state kind of presented in a different way, and a kind of a variety of things that are involved with mentoring. So some other points of interest regarding the program. So this program is developed for public schools. It's not designed for anything else. It's for public schools, and it's implemented by local churches. There is cost that's associated with being a church partner with Kids Hope, but that cost is all bared by the church. There's no cost to the school whatsoever. The church pays all those fees to be part of that program. Mentors acknowledge that they are guests of the school and commit to respecting the program. So that kind of says it all right there. So, and really, why do Kids Hope volunteers mentor? That's kind of at the crux of behind our mentors. And you know, our mentors mentor because they care about people. They care about kids, they care about their community, they care about their schools, and they care about the value of education. So whatever we can do to support that, that's absolutely what we want to do.
All right, thank you, Phil. And I would like to mention just that third bullet point there, just acknowledge that they're guests. Just that we've never had an issue with conduct at all from any of our mentors. They come in, they're very respectful of the environment, they communicate with our teachers, they communicate with me, and they're just a joy to have. You know, they fit into the culture that we strive to have at our school. So that's been outstanding. That starts with, you know, Phil's training and interview process and so forth. And then it carries over to mentor orientation. So Phil and I both host that together. It's just an introduction to Alto. We have a meeting for about an hour. We sit down. Phil always brings some donuts and cider, which is excellent. But a few things. Our mentor completes, they do the background check, but we also do our own background check for the district that we do for all volunteers, parents and such. And they complete that. A teacher recommends students. So I'll send an email out who would like to recommend and give me a little information why. Usually I'll have some other conversations with the teachers about that. And I'll also base that on the information I get from Phil and from the mentors in terms of personality, background, all of those things, trying to make a really good fit with that mentor-mentee relationship. We come up with an agreement to go meeting time. Again, Phil mentioned that as far as the consistency, which is critical for all kids, and especially some of our students that are being mentored. Once mentoring begins, a progress report is completed after each mentoring session, with copies going to the child's teacher, the principal, and the program director. And this is huge. This is a big thing. We read, so we have 18, so every week we're getting 18 of them in, and it's just great information. When I got feedback from teachers recently, there were so many of them that commented on those reports because they would say, it helps me get to know my kids even better by what's being shared. And then if there's any concerns, it'll even go through like, were they on task, how was their effort, you know, all of those things. So it's really quite comprehensive, and we appreciate the time that it takes to do. It gives us great feedback on that. And then we have an orientation meeting, like I said, and we go over the program overview, welcome to the school, take a tour, all those things, procedures and expectations. As Phil had mentioned, just adhere to the guidelines regarding separation of church and state. Comply with ELTO's volunteer code of conduct that we have for all volunteers, like when parents come in or other organizations come in, and that covers a lot of things. It covers, you know, where that helps to cover where we meet, checking in, wearing a badge, all of those kind of safety things, and our mentors have just been outstanding with that. Couple other things, just confidentiality, things like gift giving. You know, just give gifts. We do organize that around the holidays where they do that as a group. We have a party coming up at the end of the year, which is a group thing, but we don't have individual mentors doing gift giving. Things like pictures and social media. So just covering any question that you would have regarding that. The structure for the mentor-mentee meetings, making sure that there's a firm understanding of that. You know, again, location. We use about half the time for academic support and whatever that student needs, whether it's math or reading or sometimes organization or goal setting. And then half of it is social and fun. The playing the games comes up a lot, you know, from the kids, and that's what I see a lot, and they love it. It gets pretty competitive sometimes in a good way. Even helping students learn how to lose sometimes, which is an important skill, you know, and how to win. And then ideas to get started and opportunities for questions. This is a slide that a number of our mentors, and I think I've got feedback from Phil too, has been meaningful to them. It's just one slide, but I think it helps to clarify what the expectations are and aren't. Just a mentor is responsible and caring, a friend, a role model, a patient listener, an advocate, a nurturer of possibilities, a champion for your student. A mentor is not a counselor or a social worker, a parent or a guardian, a disciplinarian, or a miracle worker. So I think that's been pretty helpful to kind of define what that role is. So we have a couple Kids Hope mentors here today that were gracious enough to join us. I appreciate that very much. I think it's good to hear from you. We have Cheryl Swift, as I mentioned earlier. Cheryl has been with her student since kindergarten. Which is pretty cool, and they have a great friendship and great relationship. They are one of the examples that went through Pen Pals, and then her student was virtual for an extra year too, and so they kept that connection virtually and so forth. And really just, like I said, have really developed a strong friendship. You talk about those reports. I always love reading Cheryl's reports. They're very colorful. She's a great writer, but it really demonstrates that relationship and how strong that is. And so forth. So Cheryl, I'd like to invite you up.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having us. We really appreciate being here. My name again is Cheryl Swift, and I have been with Kids Hope for 7 years now, going from kindergarten all the way up to 5th grade, and it's been a joyride, I have to tell you. We began in 2018, but then we were hit with COVID, and we thought, what's going to happen here, you know? We thought for sure it was going to detour us from meeting, but through the creativity of the teachers that I had, we were able to meet every single week, just like normal. Like Mr. Pappas said, you know, some of the teachers, we would use the pen pal system, which was through the email, but it was like one way. And so we decided that the teacher would then read the email to the student, and the student would tell me, the teacher, what they wanted to say to me. So it was like a communication right there. And that worked beautifully to the end of the year. And then my student was still a virtual student the next year. And the teacher just opened up the Google Classroom and said, join me for half an hour every week. And so the student and I, again, we continued to meet. And so I'm really thankful for the creativity of the teachers, because it could have been a 2-year gap between my student and I, and we were able to continue to meet. So we were really thankful for that. And it showed their commitment to the Kids Hope program as well, and that I'm just truly grateful for that. So when I think about mentoring, I ask myself 2 questions. The first being, what do I have to offer my mentee? And my first answer is a friendship. You know, we have developed over the 7 years just a wonderful, sweet friendship. Things I want my mentee to know is that I care about him. You know, I show up every week to listen to him and engage in activities that are fun and his choice. And another important area is I give my mentee the freedom and a safe place to share whatever he wants to. You know, I've had a lot of really difficult conversations, and I'm just thankful that, you know, he trusts me enough to really open up, and I think it's because he feels safe in that environment. And why do I volunteer as a mentor? Well, in June of 2014, I retired. I was a child care provider in my home for 20 years. And I was feeling that void of not being interactive with my kids after having them 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. And at my church then, I heard about the Kids Hope program, and I thought, what a great fit, you know. They pair a mentor with a child, you know, a student in the school. And I thought this was just going to be great for me, and it has been great. I couldn't wait to meet my first student. And then out of all of the weeks that we have met over the last 7 years, my mentee has only missed 1 day. And that was just 2 months ago. So he went perfect attendance for 6+ years. And I was just like over the moon excited. And you know, I praised him for that. And he was like, well, he said, here's the deal. He said, you know, you're my mentor day. And he said, the night before, I get everything ready. And I don't want to be late the next morning. I don't want to miss having you, you know. So he really showed me that he was just as committed to our time together as what I was, spending all that time with him. And I asked my mentee a few weeks ago what was one thing that he liked most about our time together. And he didn't have to think. I thought maybe he'd say, oh, I get out of class and we're going to play games and things like that. But he just said 4 simple words. He looked me right in the eye and he said, you make me laugh. And I just, it took me. I said it warmed my heart, and then he went on to explain. He said, you know, some days are rough. Some days it's really tough and it's really hard. But if it's a mentor day, I know I'm gonna laugh and things are much, much better. So his whole attitude had changed over the time that we spend with each other. I'm really just, that got me to thinking, you know, what if every student had a mentor? And then I got to thinking, you know, how he has grown through our connection, our relationship. I could see him one day being a mentor. And so that just sparked lots of things for me. The second question I asked myself is, what do I personally gain from being a mentor? My mentee is a ray of sunshine. His smile brightens my day, and I'm thankful to have him as a friend. My mentee has taught me things. You wouldn't think that I'd be the one teaching him, but he's the one that's teaching me an awful lot. He's learning things at a much younger age than I was when I was in school, a long time ago. And he makes me want to learn new things. I'm teaching him and I'm helping him with math homework. You know, I want to go home and learn some of those skills that I kind of lost through the years. And so it's been exciting for me. The most important thing I see in kids today is they just want to be kids. They want you to treat them like kids, and they want to be listened to, and they want our attention. So mentoring through Kids Hope has given me the opportunity to do just that for my mentee. My focus is on him, 1 student, 1 hour, 1 day a week for the entire school year. And I get to see my mentee grow in so many ways, not just physically because he's getting taller, but in his learning, his social skills, his hopes, his dreams. This 1 hour that I spend every week truly does make a difference in both of our lives. And for that, I'm thankful. Thank you.
We have plenty Clint Forrester here. Clint is another mentor that has just captured the essence of what we want the program to be. He's demonstrated very strong commitment. He had one of the toughest things can be when we have a student move out and you have this connection and then you just don't anymore because they've moved to a different district, and that happened with Clint. But Clint says, give me another mentee, I'm ready to go. And he just has a heart for that. He has transitioned, like I said, to the middle school, which I think is an important perspective and an important transition. The only mistake I made, I should have been smarter when I placed him with a fourth grader, which is the commitment of putting him with the best match that we can get, but then he wasn't around as long because fourth, fifth grade, like middle school. But I'd like to have,
Thanks. Thank you very much. So it's funny, Phil, you mentioned it. I remember the day that Kyle called from the pulpit of looking for mentors for Kids Hope. And it was as I was transitioning from coaching rocket football, where I've coached some of your kids before. And so there was that void that I had. I'm like, oh my gosh. I raised two of my own kids. It's tough. Maybe some of even these kids I raised, but anyway. So it was a void that all of a sudden I was calling and I said, oh man, I'm ready to do it. So I jumped in. Paul did a phenomenal job, as he mentioned. One transitioned and then another came in. And it's amazing the almost exact scenario of the one that I was originally mentoring was the same with the current one I'm mentoring. He came from out of town, he was displaced, he didn't know the community that well, and he was just trying to feel himself through, right? And there was a lot of doubt that he had. You go with the hair and the beanie, and then all of a sudden we transition, and I saw a metamorphosis in this kid that was just unbelievable, right? And then as he was transitioning, he said to me in 5th grade, he said, are you gonna follow me to middle school? I'm like, ooh. Yes, I am. Can I? So I did. And so, as we all know, when they transition into middle school, that transition's tough, right? So you have Alto, you have Murray Lake, you have Bushnell, you have Cherry Creek, right? So you have a whole migration of different clique groups, different personalities, and it's tough. So here's a kid, lone wolf, been there a year and a half, going into middle school. So I did take that opportunity to help him transition and make sure it was comfortable for him and make sure that consistency is the biggest thing with this program, right? So you mentioned it, you mentioned only once did he miss, right? So it is amazing when that time comes, they're there and they're all in. And some of the stuff you hear is really heart-wrenching. As a parent yourself, and as watching this children navigate through this, and sometimes, a lot of times, it's a single parent, right? So there's not that male influence. And if you can be that male influence just for an hour or so, it makes a huge difference. And honestly, a lot of times I think I get more out of the program than the program gives, to the kid. I mean, it really is. So it's one of those programs that it was great because I think it was 9 students when we first started, 7 years, or 9 mentees rather, mentors, and when you were at 18 and could grow. And I think if the high school embraces this, that would be huge too, because as the program ages, so do the kids, but that need doesn't go away, right? And that consistency all the way throughout, it's huge. So not that I'm on a recruiting mission, but if any participating churches, if you're in one of those churches, it's a cool program. And it's a program that I would highly encourage you to look into. And the kids, what they get out of it is unbelievable. And it really is. You have a friend for life, right? And just to be a small part of that kid's success in the smallest of ways can make a huge difference. So thank you for everything you do to the program. You do a great job for the program. So, thank you.
thank you both for so eloquently sharing your experience. But again, we have 45 mentors currently, and I know it's just continuing to grow. So what a great thing. And again, Phil, for all of your leadership. All right. I'm just going to share real quickly. I think it's good to hear from students, the parents, and the teachers on this. So we did a survey, and it was very positive. We knew it would be positive. or we thought it'd be positive, and anytime you send a survey out, you hope it's what you think it is, but we've never had any complaints about it. It felt like it was very positive, get feedback from our building leadership team, teachers, parents, and so forth. But it was pretty overwhelmingly positive. I like meeting with my Kids Hope mentor friend. This is students. 5 strongly agreed, 4 agreed. I would like to continue meeting with my Kids Hope mentor friendship next year. We had 14, all 14 said yes, absolutely, strongly agree. And then I feel like I belong at my school. And we had 10 that strongly agreed, 4 that agreed, and then 1 at 3 and 1 at 2. I think it was neutral and probably disagree, strongly disagree. I don't know about you, but anytime I see one student in these areas, it hurts my heart. And we know that some students, we talk about that goal, is we want all students to belong, and we know that not all students feel that way. So what do we do about it, you know? And there's a lot of things that we do. This is one of them that we do. And so we're also talking here, students that have some challenges, right? And so really, statistically, that's quite strong. But we never want to have any students not feeling they strongly agree, or at least agree that they belong in school, that's for sure. Teacher survey, I've been pleased with the Kids Hope Mentor program. We had 8 teachers. There's less teachers. We had a lot of teachers that had like 3 kids in the program. So 8 of them strongly agreed. 2 agreed. My student likes meeting with his or her Kids Hope mentor. 5 strongly agreed. 4 agreed. I would like my student to continue meeting with them, all of them. I'm very supportive of the program. And the comments, I'll share a few of them, but they were just outstanding on that. And then parents, we had 6 parents participate in the survey. I've been pleased with the program. 5 strongly agreed, 1 agreed. My child likes meeting with his or her Kids Hope mentor. 5 strongly agreed. I'd like my child to continue with the program. Every one of the parents agreed. So I think we are 100% as far as wanting to continue with the program. So that was really affirming to get this, and I know to share it with others. Just a few quotes here real quick, and then we're just about done. But what do you like about the Kids Hope Mentor program? You can read through them. I'm just going to read through the first one. I love that I can draw, play games, and she brings crafts. She makes me happy. Seeing Mrs. G is the highlight of my Thursday. That's from an Alto student. My child is from a parent. My child is always very enthusiastic about seeing Mrs. G. Man, this Mrs. G is outstanding. Thursday is now her favorite day of school. And then these are from teachers. I have loved this program so much. My student that sees his mentor has been seeing her since he was in kindergarten. I don't know who that is, but he's in 5th grade now. He absolutely loves spending time with her, and I've enjoyed reading the recaps of what they've talked about. It's helped me to get to know my student better. So it's outstanding. So I would like, if you want to come up to Phil, or as far as just, I think we wanted to thank some thank yous, I guess. I'd like to thank Phil again. I'd like to thank all of those involved throughout the district, again, with those partnerships. I'd like to thank all that are involved, our mentors, our mentees, our teachers, our office staff, and everybody, and then the support of our central office administration and the board.
Right, I've got thank you also, and I had to write it down because I knew I'd screw it up if I didn't. So, so on behalf of the Kids Hope programs of Ada Bible Church, Impact Church, and Lowell United Methodist Church, thank you to the board and Mr. Fowler for allowing the Kids Hope programs throughout the district. We are very grateful to have this opportunity to serve the kids. But more importantly, with no disrespect, thank you so much to the administrators and the office staff, the counselors, the teachers in each of the buildings for all the time and effort that they put into making this Kids Hope program successful. It takes a tremendous amount of work that we really glossed over on the part of the school staff to make this work, the scheduling mentors and all the different things, the permission slips. So we didn't talk about that very much, but the building staff do a whole lot just to make this happen. So I didn't write that part down. But it's an understatement to say that the Kids Hope programs are successful. No, I messed that up. To say that this wouldn't be possible without your work, and we really appreciate you. The fact that you support and facilitate Kids Hope programs throughout the district is a testament to the culture of fostering belonging for all students in the Lowell area schools. So thank you. We're really grateful to have this opportunity.
Do you have any questions for us? All right, let's skip.
Thank you. Next order of business is our consent grouping. This is the approval of minutes, payment of bills, regular meeting, board meeting minutes, closed session, work session, special meeting, another closed session. Could I get a motion to bring this item forward?
So moved.
Moved by Lori. Could I get support?
Support.
Support by Jennifer. Anything particular you'd like to call out on consent?
No, it's the regular business of the board of approving minutes and payment of bills.
Out of the order. Any questions from the notes? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next order of business is our action items, and our first action item is the second reading of our revised new bylaws and policies. Could I get a motion to bring that item to order?
Motion.
Motion by Jared. Could I get support?
Second.
Supported by Annie. Mr. Bell.
All right, so this is, the second reading, so with this, we'll vote to approve the recommendations for policy revisions. Just a quick run through, there's a change in the bylaws for a technical correction of the policy, so just the process for how we adjust on technical corrections. The leave of absence policy will get the district in compliance with Michigan's new Earned Sick Time Act, especially related to policy 4430, which is the one related to support staff. The other employees that are covered by different groups meet the requirements of the Earned Sick Time Act. Policy 2340, revision for field trips and other district-sponsored trips. 5320 is a revision that reflects immunization changes. 5330 is the use of medications. This is the one that we talked about at the workshop, where the one that was, we made some modifications to as it was originally presented. So I do have some copies of those changes if anybody needed to take a look at that. 533001 is a change in law for the epinephrine auto injectors, so the EpiPens that we have in each of our buildings as required by law. 5350, a revision that supports comprehensive mental health with student health, well-being, and suicide prevention policy. 8320 reflects changes to the para law, so it deals with personnel files. 8500 is change to the food service policy. 8510 is a change to the wellness policy, and then 8650, we're asking that we rescind that policy as it now we deal with transportation in the field trip policy 2340. Felt like a long summary of those policies.
We've been speaking about them for a number of months at this point. So, are there any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor of the second reading of the revised new bylaws and policies, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item is the Board of Education approval of the food service management contract. That there will be a recommendation to table that. I will bring this motion into discussion, and then we will kick it over to Mr. Fowler for closing that out.
Sure. Just before, we ask for the motion to table, and Sonia, if you have anything to add, just, the process in getting this contract approved by the state.
Yeah, so there's a lot of back and forth in order before the board can actually vote to approve the renewal of the contract. The state tells us what the forms can say. We send them back to them with the signatures they require, and then once they review that the forms are as they said they should be, then we get to vote, and we're still waiting in that step. Once we get that, we'll bring it to the board for a vote, and then I'm able to sign. Then we send them the forms again, they review them a second time, and then they approve the renewal finally. So we We are still waiting to hear back from them that the forms that they sent us are good. So hopefully next week we'll be able to bring that to you.
Yeah, and it just so happens that with the next discussion item, that we'll have a special meeting before our workshop on May 19th. And so the request is that we get a vote to table this item until that special meeting on the 19th.
So at this point, I would consider it tabled.
Need a motion for that?
Yeah, motion to table this item.
So moved.
Moved by Pat, could I get support?
I'll support it.
Support by Jessica. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. This item is tabled. Our next order of business is our new, or our added addition to the agenda, which was the recommendation for a reaffirmation of the board's appreciation and support for the staff who serve the schools each and every day. Could I get a motion to bring this item to order?
So moved.
Moved by Lori. Could I get support?
Support.
Support by Annie.
Sure.
And Jennifer. There's been discussion over the last number of months regarding just our overall support of our teachers, support staff, and administration. So we've summarized that into a recommendation in a decree that we would like to bring to the community. To the Lowell Area Schools community, as members of the Lowell Area School Board of Education, we want to express our sincere appreciation for all district employees, including our teachers, support staff, bus drivers, and administrators. Your dedication to educating our students and supporting our community is deeply valued. Thank you for your continued commitment to excellence. The Board of Education is responsible for establishing and approving the policies that guide our school district. While we set the policies, we entrust our administrators, teachers, and staff to carry them out through procedures and daily operations that support a high-quality learning environment. If you have questions or concerns about a policy or its implementation, we encourage you to bring them to the attention of your building or district administration. These concerns will be reviewed and elevated to the board as appropriate. We want to be clear. Bullying, harassing, or threatening our district employees who are fulfilling their responsibilities in accordance with board-approved policies is not acceptable. If you have concerns, we respectfully ask that you direct them to the elected members of the Board of Education. Our staff deserve a safe and respectful workplace as they carry out the important work of serving our students. Thank you for your ongoing support of our schools and community. Sincerely, the Lowell Area Schools Board of Education. Are there any comments on that resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor of the resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Our next order of business is a discussion item, and this is the Kent ISD biennial election.
Yeah, so how the Kent ISD elects its board is that each of the 20 public schools in Kent County designates a member of its Board of Education to go to the ISD and vote on behalf of the board for those candidates for the election. The process is that the candidates are introduced and discussed at a board meeting, reach a consensus, and elect somebody to go to the board, and then at a separate meeting, then that board will then pass a resolution approving the representative to go cast its vote. And so at the board workshop, we have a special meeting, which I referenced earlier, to pass that resolution, and now is the discussion to talk about that process. In your packet, there are 2 seats, and there are resumes for 2 candidates of the board. One is Laura Featherston from Rockford, and David Drake from Wyoming. And so
Godwin Heights District, is it?
it is Godwin Heights District, yeah, thank you for that clarification. meant to mention that, he was from Copper Heights. But anyway, that's what the process is, so.
Are there any items that anyone wants to bring up regarding these two candidates for the two open positions?
Resumes look nice.
Yeah. When we come to the next meeting, I would be willing to be the vote caster if people, unless someone really is excited to do it. I've done it before. I have great experience in doing it.
I was gonna volunteer you, Pat.
Then I could volunteer you as the alternate.
There you go, exactly, absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you, Pat. And Lori for the next order of business is our information sharing. First information item is our human resource update. Mr. Schock.
Yeah, you can see, later we're gonna go into closed session, talk more negotiations, but we've been meeting informally with LEA and LESPA, because they are in their, the contract years are up, and we have been negotiating. The next time we meet with both groups, it'll be more formal, so just kind of the back and forth dialogue on wants, needs, things that need changed, all the above. We've kind of worked our way through that to where next time we meet with both groups, it'll be more formalized. So that's an update, and I can give more information on the details later. You see all the retirees, and congratulations to them, but with that comes hiring. So update with hiring, we have 2 that we'll bring to the board in June. There's still 5 that are looming out there. We're going through the processes. Those will most likely come to the board in July. And then also the Director of Teaching and Learning, just to give you an update with that, the final rounds will be this Wednesday. So we've gotten to that point where we're hoping to find somebody to fill Dan's shoes. Additionally, on top of the professional staff, we also are beginning to develop more recruitment tools for drivers. So we've been facing that every year. You hear me talk about it a lot, but one thing we're gonna do this year is continue to give that information to paraeducators, so maybe they can combine some of those jobs they may have during the day and drive in the morning, drive in the afternoon, drive in the midday, or for athletics, if we can get them trained. And then I know, I see a few drivers in here tonight, Trevor specifically, they're gonna come to our parabid meeting and kind of have a table just to talk to people who may be interested, and try to recruit that way from within. Because usually once somebody is in the building for the day, or even little parts of the day, usually, they don't necessarily want to go home, and they have time to where they could take on some of the runs, and that's the goal that we're striving towards. And a small deficit is what we're facing, but we have been. I can tell you that that incentivized plan that we've used all year has definitely worked, and the drivers have been very happy about that. And also, even when I talk about it, the need of drivers, we still haven't shut down a route all year. And I'm not sure we shut down one last year either. Trev?
We did.
We did? Okay. It wasn't many though.
No.
But we have not shut down one this year, so, and if you talk to people or look around, I don't even want to say Kent County, but the counties that are near us, that's not the case. So it's kudos to the drivers and the people that conduct that business every day. So hopefully, we get more people out driving when they have open time. That's all I have for tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, information sharing budget update. Ms. Hodge.
So I passed out a document for you. There's not a whole lot going on this sheet, and that's intentional. I really wanna just focus on the governor and the Senate proposals. We are really getting back to more normal budget times where there's not a whole lot of flashy stuff happening. So the governor's proposal, as we've talked about before, is proposing a $392 per pupil increase to the foundation allowance, which would bring the foundation allowance to a total $10,000. Whereas the Senate proposal is increasing by $400 per pupil, which would bring it to $10,008. There's an interesting caveat to the Senate proposal in that they are wanting to restrict how some of those increased per pupil dollars can be spent, which is unique. We don't typically see that with unrestricted dollars, so we'll be curious to see how that shakes out at the end. We are on this sheet projecting a reduction in students of 30 FTE. Again, that has not been finalized. We're still talking through that process, but I wanted to put something in here as an illustration. 5-6 years ago, the birth rate had a new marked decline, and so we're starting to see those numbers. We want to make sure that we're capturing that in our budget process as well. For the MIPSERS funding, that's the retirement system, we've talked about that a lot. You can see how the different proposals reduce funding in slightly different ways. They're pretty close. Some of those are set by the governor's budget in whole, so there's not much for the Senate to adjust there. And then for other categoricals, there's not a whole lot to change there. The at-risk funding model in the Senate proposal is seeing a decent increase, but when I'm working on my budget proposal, I'm looking at what we're actually spending, and we've been using at-risk to kind of ramp off of ESSER, and so we're not spending our full at-risk allocation at this time because we're trying to maintain some of those positions as we continue to monitor those programs and make sure that we're spending money on the right things. So I didn't include an increase here yet. I want to get a little bit further into that before I do. And then on the expenditures, again, we're in negotiation season right now, so just looking at the budget proposals and how they would impact us, we're seeing a reduction in the retirement rate, which is going to save about $700,000 projected, and kind of related to the MIPSERS funding up above, seeing some changes in the expenditures as well. And those really are those in and out dollars where we get them in, we immediately pay them back out. We're seeing an increase there for next year. For the healthcare, this is not really related to the proposals, but I wanted to have it in here as part of our discussions. There is a House Bill 6058 is still pending in the House, and it has not been transmitted to the governor, but it does specify that there would be a 7% increase to what the district pays for health insurance costs. I'm putting in here, assuming that it's 7% in January. That is really, I really have no idea what will happen with that. We do know that our increase will be 2.9% starting in January. But we know this bill is out there, and we know that there is, a desire to move something forward. So having it in the back of our minds that this is possibly an increased cost that we'll have, I want to make sure that we're talking about it and that we're seeing what those numbers would be. Since January is in the middle of our fiscal year, I used 4% because our teachers' insurance costs go from January through July. So that's 7 months instead of 6 months, so it's not an exact 3.5%. 4% is a better number there. And so then at the bottom, you can see the differences in the bottom line for the governor versus Senate proposals. They're not that far off, which is not surprising. Now, we will see more information on Friday, which is the revenue estimating conference. And then we should be seeing the House budget either this week or next week after the revenue estimating conference. And then the fund will really start, and they'll start negotiating. And we'll find out after then where we're going to really end up. Are there any questions about that? I know, it's exciting. The other thing I wanted to mention is that in your packet you had the debt payments list, and I wanted to just highlight that we've officially paid off one of the 2016 refundings. So nothing happens when that happens, but it always gives me a jolt. I'm really excited to see that pull off. So
Nothing
just wanted to
happens.
mention.
One less account you have to keep track
Yeah.
of.
Exactly.
And that's all I have.
We have the next one.
Thank you. Our next information sharing is our curriculum update. Mr. Vander.
All right, so, yeah, lots happening, a lot of exciting things for Connor and all the seniors. So it's fun to hear your report, Connor. Thanks for your time as a representative. I know the last day is this Thursday. There's a senior give back day, I think tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah, so next week on the 21st, we have rehearsal, and then the traditional senior walk through the elementary buildings, which is always a big hit for the old kids and the young kids. And then, of course, graduation on the 22nd. So things are a lot of fun, a lot of celebrations, field trips, different celebrations and things being planned as we near the end of the year. K-5 World, a lot of time thinking about our new K-5 resource, open court. There's a training during a half day of PD on May 23 that we're planning for. And so, you know, that'll be a lot of heavy lifting for our elementary staff, but exciting at the same time. The district mental health team met last week and did some debriefing about the March Parent Education Series that we had, that was held. Again, well received over a 3-week period. Opportunity for parents to learn more about things like dealing with anxiety and cyber safety, et cetera. Working to consider the Bridging the Gap program. You've heard about that in the past. We partner with an outside counseling agency for student referrals based on mental health needs, especially for parents that may not have insurance. That is another thing that gets offered at Lowell schools as needed. And we're launching our K-12 Belonging Committee on May 29, which is a district-wide school improvement team committee going along with math and reading. So some of us met the other day with some ISD consultants in terms of planning for that. And we heard a lot about that tonight, and what a great example. So thank you to Mr. Papis at Alto, but throughout our district, as well as thanks to Phil and Cheryl and Clint for what you do. It's really important work and moving work for kids who need that. So I think when we all pitch in and we all do those sort of things, then we not only help those kids, but make our school a better place, our community a better place. So like you said, Connor, Red Arrows for life. So thank you.
Thank you. Next order of business is our public comments.
We have 4 tonight. So David Kapolka.
Oh, it's up there.
So just a quick reminder, we have 3 minutes for public comments, so if you could just keep an eye out over there, and then I won't interrupt you when we get close to that time.
My name is David Kapolka. I live in Alto. I'm retired with background in math and science teaching. Connor, I was an AP reader for 6 years, reading calculus. So you and I should talk. I'd like to share a meaningful story with you that occurred in 1986. Back then, a nearby school district was about to make some significant changes in its leadership. One of the high school principals and assistant superintendent of instruction were appointed as the first females in those positions. Now there was an opening for the new math department chair because of retirement. The person chosen made a bold promise to do their best to bring back the now empty AP math courses and encourage more girls to take such courses. You know, back then there were rarely more than 2 or 3 girls in our AP math and science courses at any given time. But this new math chair was determined to change that and have girls make up half of the upper level students within 5 years. It took 3. As a result, there was a position for a math teacher, and the new chair and principal interviewed several applicants. They were lucky enough to hire a seasoned teacher who was new to the area and also a certified civil engineer. The math chair told her she had 5 years to get up to speed on calculus since they were expecting 2 sections of AP calculus. It only took 3. Over the first 3 years of his tenure, the math chair hired 2 more female math teachers, and the enrollment in all upper level classes increased both for boys and girls in math and science. The science department even hired its first female ever. So what are the benefits of this teacher's actions? Well, let me tell you. The math department became more diverse, which achieved equity among the upper levels, increased math and science course offerings, and students saw that females teachers in positions teaching upper level math. This helped more students feel included and valued. My colleagues and I could have seriously benefited from some training on the concepts and benefits of DEI programs. Inclusive actions are a win-win for all students and teachers. When I hear someone wanting to eliminate DEI programs, I worry about the impact. Are we really going to support the opposition of DEI? No diversity, no equity, no inclusion. We need to stay vigilant when such programs are under attack. Thank you for listening.
Kim Lum.
Kim Lum, 4129 Causeway Drive, Lowell, Michigan. Tonight, two people that started teaching in Lowell at Cherry Creek retired. Rochelle Cummings and Jennifer Cole. Congratulations to them, and thanks to all the people that have given so much to our school district. Another thank you is to Kids Hope. I have a young friend that is graduating and is happy to share that school is done on Thursday for him. He knows that he will not go to school anymore. He will continue to learn new things, but not in a school setting. When he was in second grade, he had a mentor from Kids Hope in my room. That person came every week, and the next year, and the next year, and the next year through 5th grade. My friend has visited with me from time to time and talked to me about his mentor. And you know, they had such a good time together. At the end of their hour each week, my friend, my second grader, would come back and go, I kind of like being with him. And even though school was, and still is, a really hard place for him to fit because of lots and lots of things in his life before he came to school even, having his mentor made a difference. I want to encourage all of us that interact with kids, whether we're the teacher, the mentor, whatever, just to let the stuff that's in our heart all the time and pushing us to keep going, to just chill on that a little bit and take a moment and just give a smile to those kids wherever we see them, whether it's at Meyer or a playground or whatever. They need to know that we all care, and a lot of times that makes a difference. You know, I'm getting grayer and whiter haired, as I'm told, and I think back to some of my people that were in my life through public education. And my life as a kid wasn't what we all think is normal and perfect. And there are people that I recall. So I'm glad to learn tonight that Kids Hope happens beyond Cherry Creek and Bushnell. I did not know that it was happening anywhere else in the district. So thanks for making it bigger and better.
Tom Starr.
Good evening, my name is Tom Starr. I taught in the district for 34 years, primarily government, although I had a couple other hats that I wore. And I retired in 2002, and then after that I served several years on the Education Foundation Board. In 1972, the comedian George Carlin did a monologue entitled "The 7 Words You Can Never Say on Television." Those were words that were usually never uttered in a public setting, especially in front of women. I'm sure everyone here has a pretty good idea of what they are. In fact, I have a hunch that all students at the high school have probably heard them or used them. Maybe even middle schoolers, maybe even elementary kids. I have actually heard these words on cable television. I'll confess to being stunned when I first heard them. However, they have been in the print media for decades and used by some of my favorite authors like Tom Clancy, James Patterson, John Grisham in their award-winning novels. As such, it seems folly to me for certain parents to want to remove library books that use these words as part of their content. You can only protect and shield our students for so long. There comes a time when a student's upbringing is determinative to the values and judgments a student must ultimately make for themselves. Therefore, I think the board policy regarding removing books from our school libraries is a very good policy. I can't imagine a policy being more parent-friendly, and I would encourage you not to be bullied into weakening it. That brings me to DEI. I don't know if the district has a DEI policy or not. And in an ideal world, such policies should not be needed. But because DEI is only asking for fairness. Again, in an attempt to protect and shield students, those who would eliminate DEI are doing a disservice to our students and society. Without a DEI policy, our students are in for a big surprise when they graduate, and they join a diverse society where their employer, their instructor, their roommate, their neighbor, their coworker, their commanding officer does not look like them or believe the same way they have been brought up. Finally, the conservative church-sponsored retirement community where I live in Grand Rapids has a DEI policy. Likewise, my employer in Florida has a DEI policy. In spite of living and working under these DEI policies, I am doing just fine, and the world has not come to an end. Thanks for listening.
Ben Bonferheim?
Yes.
Good evening. My name is Ben Vonderheim. I'm a senior graduating this year from Lowell. I live at 3403 Bradley Avenue Southeast. I'm here today to talk about, we hear a lot about a lot of the regular routine successes of our school. I'm blessed to call them routine, but those things such as great academics, fantastic wrestling programs, this, that, and the other. I'm here today to talk about and highlight some of the things that more so I don't get to highlight very often, involving staff and faculty going more so above and beyond the normal scope of their regular duties. A lot of that revolves around the extracurriculars that we have. I've been blessed to be a part of such a robust theater program the past 4 years. Granted that Lowell has an unusual concentration and depth of talent and performative abilities wise for a high school. But the only reason we can showcase that is because of our 10 directors who basically work a second job to help us put on our shows, and a board that supports the arts and funds it, so that our audience members to that point will come up to us and compare our shows to the ones at the Civic Theater downtown, and often say that we're better. That's unheard of. Another example being, I've been a sailor my whole life. It's a lifelong thing I've had. I wanted to restart the sailing team at the high school. I went to the athletic director and was basically met with a "you want it, you got it" kind of attitude. And then we have a sailing team again. Just like that, the staff works it out. And I think Mata UN is the best example though because Mata UN, it's a social studies oriented extracurricular. And so with Mata UN especially, the teachers can teach us everything that they can regarding history, politics, foreign affairs, this, that, and the other. But then the only way that you win at a place like Mata UN is if you can stand up and articulate your points confidently, and really look like you know what you're talking about. And that also needs to be taught. And so we are also blessed, we do very well in those programs as well, because we have teachers that can not only teach us the actual knowledge that we need, but also how to articulate it. And I think that's what sets Lowell students apart. Especially that's reflected in our college admissions recently. College is becoming less and less about test scores and GPAs and more about what kids put themselves out there and engage themselves with. We have kids, Connor and I are going to the University of Michigan in the fall. We have kids going to Notre Dame, Villanova. One of our best buddies got into Yale based on pure academics. I think just the fact that our teachers, we have ambitious students, but our teachers also share that ambitious attitude, and our counselors push us to achieve things. And I just think overall, this district and the way that it's run, districts like these are what make our country beautiful and great. And I think that if every school district in America were run like ours, I think things would be just darn near perfect in this country. And you can bet your bottom dollar that when I answer belonging surveys, I smack that, strongly agree, I belong to this school. Thank you so much.
The closing bell was perfect. Next order of business is our superintendent's report.
All right, well, thank you. Start off by wishing all of the mothers a belated Happy Mother's Day. Hope everybody got to enjoy the beautiful weather yesterday to celebrate moms. Talked a lot tonight about all that happens in schools in May. As we head towards the school year, one of my favorite events is when Bushnell first graders do the tour of Lowell and have lunch out on the playground out here, so it was a lot of fun seeing our Bushnell first graders out there. But lots of celebrations, lots of music, drama performances, athletic contests, all those things as we wrap up the school year. A couple comments just in response to April board meeting and what we've heard a little bit tonight. Kim Lum brought up something at the April workshop about just a remembrance of Betty Yeiter, and just I want to thank you for that and just lift her up. I didn't know Betty when she was a teacher here, but just her generosity and engagement with the schools well into her 90s and even past her 100th birthday. I learned a lot about the history of our school district when there was a series of one-room schoolhouses and what it was like to teach in a one-room schoolhouse, and then that transition through consolidation too. So just wanted to reiterate that and express my gratitude to her and her family for not only just her generosity to the district, but also a lot of those stories that have meant a lot to me as well over the years. Also planted my tomatoes from the Cherry Creek class last weekend too, so wishing well for those. There was also a comment about DEI at that board meeting. We have disbanded our DEI committee just as a result of some of the political things that were happening. But what's happening is you've heard a lot, even at tonight's meeting, about this idea of our school improvement goal of belonging. And so we have district teams that address each of our goals. We have a literacy goal. It has a team that meets regularly K-12. We have a math goal that meets regularly K-12. And now, getting organized this year and starting into next year, we have a belonging team. And so some of those things that we talked about, what are we doing to make sure that each one of our students, when they come to school, feel like they have a sense of belonging? And we know that when students feel like they belong at school, they learn at higher levels. And they grow that confidence that we saw from Ben and Connor tonight when they go on to lead us. So you know, we really want to just have that similar structure for that team for belonging to make sure that we have that. Also at that April workshop, talked about classroom libraries. And we don't have specific board policy that's related to our classroom libraries. But what we do have is we have trained teachers, we have qualified teachers who are expert in that field, and they're expert in engaging readers of all levels. And so what we want for, what our practice has been is that if there are concerns about the contents of those books, there's a conversation that happens between the teachers and between those families to ensure that that teacher is challenging that student to be better readers and at the same time meeting the wish of those families. And in some circumstances we've had to involve building administrators and we've had to involve classroom library, or our district librarian to help facilitate those conversations. But our system has worked to do that. One other thing to mention, a sad note, want to express condolences to Jim Turner's family. Jim was a long-serving board member, sad as our board president, and lost his wife last week after an illness. So just wanted to express condolences to Jim and his families as they go through the grieving process. And then also want to just close on a celebration. We had staff appreciation last week, so just want to thank our teachers, our staff who make a difference in the lives of our students, but also just thank you to the parents, our local businesses. We talked about Impact Church, who brought treats to every single spot of our district. They remembered the Wittenbach Center, which I've been guilty of forgetting in the past. So just really great to feel that support from our community and from our families across the district. And also just want to mention that with seniors' last day this week, graduation, my wife Kim and I are wrapping up 21 years as Lowell School's parents. And so just to express our own appreciation for the impact that our staff has had on the lives of our kids. They've had some great friends along the way, but just the confidence and the skills that they've needed to be successful adults, they've received that here. So just thank you to everybody for that. And we've got 2 more weeks, and it's been a great run. So, they are. A couple things just to mention as well. Like the board calendar does shift a little bit because of the Memorial Day holiday. So that 4th Monday is Memorial Day. So we're having our workshop next Monday, as well as the special meeting that we mentioned tonight. And then Thursday evening, Connor, Ben will be in the football stadium with all of us for graduation. So just look forward to celebrating that with our students, our staff, our families, and our community for Thursday. So be a great night. Thank you.
Thank you. Next order of business, board communications. Jared.
I'd like to thank all the retirees. I'm jealous. I'd like to thank the Hope Network people for helping. We've been on the board and sit through a lot of expulsion hearings, and I feel like if some of those kids would have had somebody, that wouldn't happen. The one kid that did have accountable, or somebody that held him accountable, he really, because he showed back up and he felt that he let that guy down, and I think it helps a lot. And last to Connor, I hope they find somebody as enthusiastic as you. It's cool. That's it.
Thank you. Annie.
Yeah, I just want to echo what Jared said. Congrats to the retirees, congrats to Connor and Ben also for moving on to the next phase of life. Connor, your updates have been the highlight of these meetings. And I'm just disappointed that I didn't get to see them the first half of the school year. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Thanks, these guys kind of basically stole a lot of my comments, but Connor, thanks, it's been great. My former colleagues, several of whom I actually taught with, thanks for showing integrity, dedication, exemplary, and I just thank you so much. And then the other thing is too also, one of the things that didn't get mentioned at our last board meeting, and I kind of think we didn't know about it, was that we had a senior art student exhibit at the Lowell Arts Council last week. And if you didn't get to see it, it was amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing. There are a couple of pieces in there that I would really like to buy and put in our boardroom. They are so amazing. And so I'd like to thank the 2 teachers that put it together, Emma Bandos and Christine Cosgrove, our art teachers. Sarah Ellis is also another art teacher, but she does Spanish and some other things too, so she was not directly responsible. And I think it was so successful that I think we're really going to look into, as an arts council, making sure we do that all the time. We used to do, I don't know if some of you guys probably remember this, we used to do a high school, middle school exhibit. It was like a week-long exhibit, and we kind of got away from that. But I think we're going to get back into it because it's amazing the talent that we have. And there were only maybe 8 or 10 kids, seniors that were in the senior art classes, and they are going places. So thanks for the effort. Thank you.
Jennifer.
I've had the privilege of watching the Kids Hope Mentors in the middle school and the elementary school, and it's a beautiful thing. You see those middle schoolers that you think are too cool for school, and they watch their mentors come in, and the smiles and the hugs are the most beautiful things. So the program really does important things. Graduation always amazes me how proud you can be of other people's kids, especially you two, even though you're going to the wrong school, but that's okay. The future is bright.
I was going to say that.
I'm thankful for being able to work with you guys.
Jessica.
Yes, I want to congratulate all the retirees tonight. I was able to be a student in some of their classes, so it's making me feel a little bit older tonight than I want to admit, but very cool to see them be able to move on and enjoy their time off. And also, I am looking forward to graduation on next week, Thursday. This was my favorite pros of being on the board, is being able to see other people's kids graduate, as well as be proud of all the students that we have in our district, and especially proud of both of you guys for all that you have done for your class and just being great role models for our district. So thank you and best of luck.
Thank you, Pat.
Yeah, everything is I've been on the board a long time, and if you would have asked me, do we have a program where volunteers from some churches come in and mentor some kids in some of our elementaries, I would say, oh yeah, we do. And that's about as much as I knew. And, you know, I knew it was a program, I knew it was a successful program, I knew it was a program we've kept going and expanded, but I never knew the details of just how exactly the program worked, how organized it was, from the behind the scenes. And so I want to thank everyone involved in tonight's presentation that really made it come to life for us a little bit, of exactly what happens and how and why this program is successful in the way it is. So thank you for your time and coming tonight, and for all the work you've done for the last 7 years and whatever else with it. And it's very, very interesting for me as a board member to really see the whole of the program today as it was presented. So thank you.
I second that, Pat. You know, it's one of the things that we talk about and we'll actually discuss in our superintendent mid-year evaluation is, you know, how do we connect these dots with all the programming that's going in and around our school district, and it all builds up and culminates in how our superintendent's report actually comes out. And so, you know, we've asked that we connect those dots more and bring them to these meetings. I was totally amazed by that program. I mean, just phenomenal. You know, I really encouraged it. Ben, your report, your comments, again, continue to just reinvigorate me as a board member. Kind of thinking back, the kids that are graduating this year weren't in school when I started on the board, which is kind of weird to think about. I can't imagine Pat. But, you know, it's, you know, why do we do this? It really is because of those things, and, you know, helping. The board has a unique position that, you know, we're here to support really good people, and we have really good people, and they do phenomenal things for our kids, for our students, for our community, and you know, I just, as this year is winding down, you kind of have the ability to reflect, and it's just a good time to reflect on all the great work that really all of you do, and I'm very grateful for that. And Connor, I hope you've been practicing your list, because that list of names next week Thursday is still long.
Oh, yeah.
With some really fun last days. So, with that, I need to have a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Moved by Lori. Could I get support? Support. Support by Jennifer. Roll call vote. Pat?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Chair is yes. Lori?
Yes.
Annie?
Yes.
Jared? Yes. We are in closed session at 8:29.
I know.